fellow Toastmasters and guests. So we've all heard that people generally are unhappy with their politicians and the choices we have in government today. If you look at maybe our mayor now, Rahm Emanuel, some people are complaining, who did we elect here, this guy? I didn't know he was going to do that and do this. Yet probably half the people that are complaining probably voted for him maybe. So today I'm going to talk about how the general downturn in election and participation can be correlated to our lack maybe of reading newspapers. So I'll just take you through a history of newspapers. If you go back maybe 150 years or so, this country had thousands of newspapers. Both parties would put out their own papers talking about their different views. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of community participation. Fast forward to the 1950s, we still had a lot of newspapers, and then we started having people watch TV, getting their news from TV, but still there was general good participation, high percentage of people voting, reading the newspapers. But then what happens is we get towards year 2000 or so, and with the invention of the internet, you find that newspaper readership has been going down and down, less and less. Most of the stocks, if you follow stocks of general newspapers, are almost worthless or so. A lot of newspapers have gone bankrupt. Chicago used to have 3 papers, I think now they have 2. And I've written a few books on the subject, and the fact is, as people have read less and less newspapers, they're just basically less knowledgeable about the issues and then also about the candidates. Now, some people will think, well, what about the internet? You can get as much knowledge, more knowledge than those guys that read newspapers 100 years ago. Doesn't that make us more aware of what's going on? And that might be true, but in some cases it's not, because it's not always quantity, as you know, it's quality. And the fact is, a lot of the news you read on the internet, if you could think of your own business or what you do in your personal life, generally someone that gets paid for a living is going to do a better job. So a lot of the newspapers have laid off a lot of people, maybe they've gone digital, and the fact is a lot of people that write for internet websites and stuff, they're amateurs or they don't make much money, and the quality is just not as much. So you may think, and also with the internet you can personalize your stories, read whatever you want, so you don't get the serendipity effect of knowledge that you might otherwise not read. But it's not just newspapers. There's a lot of reasons, in my opinion, that have also made the electoral process not as functional, and it all kind of ties together. So if you go back to how many of you know the Citizens United ruling, which made corporations, they were considered just like people, so they could give unlimited amounts of money. So this accelerated the whole process of people not really knowing who to vote for. Because what you started to see, you have a lot of big money, and because no one reads newspapers, most of the money would go to commercials. So now most of the people, including maybe the last election with our mayor, but I'm not putting him down, he's done a lot of good things. Divvy bike program is awesome. But the fact is, a lot of people nowadays, they make their decisions on, say, a 30-second commercial. And studies have shown in the recent election with Barack Obama and Mitt Romney, where I think a few $1 billion were spent on the election, most of it on TV. Some studies, I'm not going to quote you to the study, but it's pretty common knowledge that up to 50% of the commercials were either untrue or had a lot of untruths in the commercials. And so people might say, well, if these things are untrue, why did TV companies put them if they know these commercials are false or lies? But the fact is, and this is another example, actually, I believe a TV station was recently sold because of the huge profits. And the fact is, these political campaigns for television stations have become so profitable, there's so much money, that they're not going to turn down these commercials, even if maybe they're not true. The fact is, money controls so much of the process. And just a few other things, if you look at other countries, Europe, not that they're any better off than us, I'd rather be here, but the fact is Europe, they give a lot more money for what we see. We have a PBS in the US and we have a radio station that's public, but the fact is the amount of money is minuscule. And actually, I've never been to Europe, but from what I've read and heard, they give much more money to public broadcasting where they can just talk about the basic issues. So there's a lot of different reasons why we've come to the situation that we're in. But I'm also going to give everyone here maybe a little pop quiz just to see where we've come to as far as basic knowledge. So who here can tell me 2 U.S. senators from the state of Illinois? Anybody? 2 senators? Common knowledge. Yes, our guest.
Dick Durbin and Mark Kirkland.
Mark Kirkland. Right answer. What about Supreme Court? Decides so many laws, this great country, abortion, everything. How many Supreme Court justices? 9. Good, our guests. We need more guests. Our guests are smart. 9. We have Syria. We might be bombing Syria. Who's our Secretary of State? Simon?
Is it John Kerry?
Yes, sir. John Kerry. So, guys have gotten 3 out of 3, pretty good. But I definitely see that some people's knowledge might be lacking. One last question. In the state of Illinois, we have a Supreme Court. We have 7 Supreme Court justices. Are they elected officials? Do they run for office, or are they appointed? Yes.
They're elected, but if there's a vacancy, they're appointed.
Good. Wow. You should be out there instead of me. So you guys have done a great job, but your assignment for today is to go home and maybe think about reading the newspaper for a half hour a week. I'm sure some of you already do, but just think about it. If everyone would just read the newspaper for about a half hour a week, maybe we can turn this whole thing around and bring back democracy. Thank you.